Moving on to paper two. Paper two is a lot more simple to explain. The basics for paper two, you have 3 questions on your paper and you answer 2 of them. Now, granted, whenever I say you answer 2 of the questions, there's both an A and a B to each question. So you're really writing 4 essays here rather than 2, but there's 2. Essentially, the best way to describe it is you have 2 topics or 3 topics and you choose 2 of the 3 topics and you answer 2 questions on each one of those topics. So in other words, you have 2 question A's and 2 question B's you're answering. Question A is a causation question. It's always going to be some sort of causation where you're linking how something caused another event. Question B is where you're basically analyzing a statement, which I'll show you what those questions look like in just a minute. So you have here an hour and 45 minutes to complete this. In the past, this was an hour and a half, and now you get an extra 15 minutes on this one as well. Each one of these questions is worth 60 points. Each A question is worth 10 points. Each B question is worth 20. So your B questions are your high point questions here. Now let's take a look at a paper 2. You can see here it looks really similar to the paper 1 the booklet does, and it's in the same order here. Section A is European, section B is American, and section C is international. For those of you taking international, it's really easy. You just flip the packet over. The question's on the last page. It's on the very back of the packet, so you'll be squared away there. So when you look at it, you answer 2 questions from one section only. So for European here, you have France, 1774 to 1814. You have your 2 questions here to answer. You can see question A, explain why the Estates General was called in 1789. So like I said there, it's a causation question. And B, to what extent did the Directory abandon the revolution? So you're going to assess that statement. Did they or did they not abandon the revolution? Same thing here. You have the Industrial Revolution in Britain as another option and the Russian Revolution as your third option here. So you would pick 2 of these 3 and answer both parts here. So you can't here say, well, I like question A for number 1 and question A for number 3, but I like the B from 2 and the B from 3. You can't do that. You can't pick and choose like it's a cafeteria here. You have to pick 2 of the topics and answer both the A and the B for that specific one. So if you wanted France and the Industrial Revolution, you have to answer A and B for France and A and B for the Industrial Revolution. So the American option is set up the same way. You have Civil War and Reconstruction, the Gilded Age and Progressive Era, and the Great Crash and Great Depression. So once again, you pick 2 of the topics and answer the A and the B for those. And you can see here, here's a better example of a statement for a B. By the late 1930s, the New Deal had been destroyed by opposition. How far do you agree? So you would support and challenge that statement. And for international, just for the sake of showing all of them, it's the same thing. You have Empire and the Emergence of World Powers, the League of Nations, and China and Japan. So you have the same thing here. Your explain why, and your to what extent questions. All right, so question A is your causation questions. You're going to make an opening thesis, argue with evidence why and how something contributed to the event in the prompt. You need to have at least 2 causes, but 3 to 4 is better. And you're going to wrap up by arguing which one of the causes that you argued is the most significant and why. So why is your cause in paragraph 1 more important than your cause in paragraph 2? Your rubric here, this goes up to level 4. This is you're going to connect factors to reach a reasoned conclusion. You're focused and you explain a range of factors and you supported it with relevant information. You understand how there's a connection between the causes and how they impacted the event in the prompt. Number 3, you're just explaining the factors. You have good knowledge and understanding of the demands of the question, and you explain factors with relevant information. So you gave evidence. Level 2, you described it. You have some understanding and the knowledge and demands of the question. You address causation, but your answers may be descriptive rather than really evaluating how those causes or how those things you're describing caused the event in the prompt. And level 1, you're just describing the topic. You're not really referencing causation, but you are talking about the topic, so you can get 1 to 2 points. And if what you're talking about has absolutely nothing to do with the topic or the question, you will get a 0 for no scoreable content. Question B is the analysis one. These are typically to what extent style questions that you're going to get. You will need to both support and challenge the prompt. Open by clearly stating your thesis. Overall, was the New Deal mostly eliminated by opposition by the end of the 1930s? Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. And to how far? So a little bit, somewhat, completely, things like that. Provide support for the prompt with specific evidence. Specific evidence. Challenge the prompt also with specific evidence. You have to have the history here. This is where you put your historical knowledge in. And finally, you're going to argue which of these is the most accurate, the support or the challenge, and why it is more accurate. So you have to have a lot of historical knowledge here to answer A question B, which is why they're worth 20 points each. These go up to level 5. All of the B's go up to a level 5. So these is you have a sustained judgment, you're well focused, and you closely argued your points. You've maintained a complete understanding of the question. You didn't ramble off onto something else. You stayed on point. Answers are supported by precisely selected evidence. You didn't put things in there that had nothing to do with the actual topic. All of your answers had evidence to support them, and it was very well chosen. And all of your answers lead to a relevant conclusion or judgment, and that you've developed throughout your paper and you have supported throughout your paper. Level 4, you have a balanced argument. This is showing where you have complete understanding of the demands of the question. You have a balanced argument, and you have good supported or good selected evidence. You can begin to form a judgment here. But here, if you're in the level 4 and you've started a judgment, then maybe it's just partial, or you didn't really fully support your judgment, and that's why you're in the level 4 range and not the level 5 range. Level 3, you understand the demands of the question. You have pretty much sum up what that says here. You've supported and challenged the prompt, and you have provided evidence for it, but that's all you did. You didn't go into, you didn't form a judgment in response to the question. You've just said, here's the support for the prompt, here's the challenge for the prompt, and without really going into a judgment. That would be how you fall into level 3. Level 2, you have some understanding of the question. You're either completely descriptive without explicitly linking to the question, or you're giving some very clear commentary on the prompt, but you haven't given clear support for it. So you have the information, but your support's not very good, so to speak. Level 1, you have descriptive or partial responses. You might be talking about the topic and have understanding of the topic, but you're not focusing on the question. That would be how you get to a level 1. And then if you're talking about something completely off the rails, you're getting a level 0 and 0 points. So those are the 2 papers. The big thing here with them is the time difference, the change of the range of the topics. Like you saw with paper 2, usually there's 4 topics there. Instead, there's only 3. With paper 1, the topic will rotate. And one big thing is whatever your paper 1 topic is, you will not have a question on that on your paper 2. So in the future, whenever, I'll use US as an example, when causes of the Civil War drops from being the paper 1 and the Civil War and Reconstruction becomes paper 1, you will no longer have a Civil War and Reconstruction question on paper 2. However, you will have a causes of the Civil War question on paper 2. So that rotates in that sense. I hope this made it clear what the differences are between the past syllabus and the current syllabus on what the demands of the questions are. I will do a video where I show how to answer each one of these and how I would suggest that students go about planning to write these papers. I think it's a really good idea to look at that and make sure their planning is on point, because if your planning is formatted really well, you can just transfer it into essay form. But I'll do a paper on those on a later date to show how those are done. If you have any questions, please throw them in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer them, and have a fantastic day.